Hi, I'm Sharon Kindred, host of Lifestyles Today in Brevard. He served as a chaplain at Patrick Air Force Base from 1999 to 2002. His spirituality column appears in more than 30 Gannett newspapers and runs every Saturday in Florida Today. He has written a book, No Small Miracles, and recently returned from his first wartime deployment as a chaplain in Iraq. I'm thrilled to have with me in the studio today, Norris Burkes. Hi, Norris. Thanks for being here today.
Hey.
You and I met a little over a year ago. We were at I think it was a meet and greet at an art festival, and what a difference a year makes.
It did. It did.
I talked to you a little bit today, and you told me that you volunteered to serve over in Iraq. Can you tell us a little bit about how that came about?
I did volunteer. Last year when I left full-time employment at a hospital, I thought it'd be a great time to volunteer for Iraq, and so after watching a documentary called Baghdad ER, I brought that home and showed that to my wife. There was a chaplain featured in it a few times, in which he was with some soldiers who were dying, and so told my wife that's kind of what I'd like to volunteer to do, and so we milled it over for about a week and talked about the whys and what would we do, and so wrote the final email volunteering, accepting the assignment, and she hit the send button. So
did she?
Yeah, so it's good.
Yeah. And you have 4 children, so you had to present this to them. What were their thoughts on this?
The last one just turned 18, so you know, mostly they were thinking, hey, there's an available car while he's gone. So, but they accepted it pretty well. So yeah.
That's great. You're a chaplain. What is the difference between a chaplain and a pastor?
Yeah, it's a good question. A lot of people sort of assume that when they read my column, particularly, they start thinking, well, he's not quite reacting the way I would expect my pastor to. But the way I describe it is, you know, a pastor is a representative of his own her own denomination, and so feels like that if everyone came that direction toward what they teach.
Right.
I look at it like this. It's like here a pastor says, look, I found the truths buried right here. Come over here and we'll dig together.
Right.
And a chaplain says, oh, you know, you're over there digging at something, and you say, what are you digging at? And I'm looking for spiritual truths, you know, and the chaplain says, well, let me help you dig, and let's see what we find together. So it really is a process of, I try to meet people where they're at and see what they're looking for, and as a chaplain, I try to give them what they're looking for, which may not be something I agree with necessarily.
Right.
So,
and was that difficult for you? Did you have moments where it was difficult?
It can be difficult. I mean, as a chaplain, particularly in a hospital, I tell people, you know, I have put crystals around people's wrists. I have taken off my shoes. I've helped people burn incense. I've collected the bones from the dead. I've put a healing blanket on the bed. I've turned the bed in the right direction. And on Sunday, I'm a Baptist. So for a chaplain, hospital chaplain, it means it doesn't matter what I am. I'm trying to meet the needs of the patient. And so there in Balad, Iraq, I worked again as a hospital chaplain and did that. So.
Okay. You described your time in Iraq as routine, interrupted by sheer terror.
Right.
Can you share the story with us about that? Or
yeah, you know, it's a little bit like, I think the fireman or the Brevard County sheriff or something like that. Probably pretty routine stuff. And you know, I worked in a hospital where routine things happen. People. I remember one Marine, as she cried, telling me about breaking her kneecap on the way to the dining hall, and now she would have to return without her unit. Pretty routine stuff. It's a dangerous area. People get hurt.
Right.
People get regular diseases, just like they did here. I talked to people with testicular cancer and different kinds of things. But one of the most routine things was the guys get hemorrhoids, internal hemorrhoids, and this is a pretty intrusive surgery that they have to do. Pretty routine stuff, and in the middle of all of that, suddenly alarms would go off saying trauma call times 3, they would announce, and it could be somebody people in an IED blast, an improvised explosion device, or it could be somebody in a rollover, or just all of a sudden you'd be plunged into meeting someone who was about to lose their life.
You hear about defining moments, something in your life that's defined, you know, your life. Do you have a story or someone you left a lasting impression on you?
I do. I do. I think I have several, but I think probably the one I can never forget really was the story of four soldiers. They were out on patrol, and one of them was a medic, and so they were out and they were hit by one of these explosive devices. And if you've seen the movie Black Hawk Down, most people will remember the scene in the movie where an artery retracts from a guy as his leg's blown off. The artery retracts, and the medic's trying to get that artery and close it off and can't do it. And the man dies as he's talking to them, begging them to save their lives. This happened right there in this vehicle that they were in. This medic had crawled through trying to save this guy's life as he screamed about not being able to meet his newborn child.
Wow.
So in the midst of that, ministering to those three people, those survivors, one of the people in the vehicles called me to the room and said, you know, Chaplain, will you pray? And I always ask people, well, you know, what do you want me to pray about?
Right.
And he said, I'd like you to pray for the people that did this.
Wow.
And yeah, you know, so like,
I
I want to pray for the people that did this. Pray that they find a spot and,
right.
you know. So, but because I was angry. I mean, you see that, and he says, I said, well, what do you want me to pray? And he said, I think the prayer that Jesus prayed from the cross would be a good prayer. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And he says, I don't believe that they all know our hearts and how we want to be helping them. We want to see them be independent. We want to see freedom work for them. And so
that's pretty deep, yeah.
So that was a real defining moment, yeah.
Wow.
So in the midst of that.
You have some photos for us to look at. Let's take a look at those, and you can tell us what we're looking at here.
Yeah, you know, that's me in front of the chapel there, and so you go, where's the chapel? And so this is a good picture because really it shows how all the buildings are protected with this, we called it a T-wall or a barrier wall for explosions that might come into the camp.
Wow, okay.
They protect all the buildings, so yeah, thanks. And again, there's our housing area. Behind those walls are housing area. This is some pictures of the boxes that people in Brevard sent.
Oh, wow.
So the newspaper ran a list of things that soldiers enjoy just for morale purposes. You know, I did get one letter saying, well, doesn't the military supply all of that? Well, you know, we have a BX. They do supply all of that. You can buy whatever you need. The soldiers, in some ways, are not in need of anything.
Right.
But yet, what these boxes said was, we love you and we support you. So, and you don't get that from military rations. So,
that's
thank
great.
you, Brevard. And some quilts made by Brevard, and they're on the unit there. This helicopter is landing at something we call Heroes Highway, and a place where the patients were taken through a tent and on into the building, into the emergency room building. This is a picture of my congregation, if you will, in the hospital.
Oh, okay.
The head nurse in the middle behind the cross, big 6'4" fella, and pediatrician there on his left, or on his right, I'm sorry. And so just these are staff members. They're working in the hospital that day on Sunday, and we all had a break for about 30 minutes and had worship. So
that's wonderful.
So the people in the immediate, what you call it, the foreground, the front of that picture, are behind a line. And we all stood behind the line until you were called into the emergency room. And so there I'm behind the line because just behind that curtain is a man that is breathing his last breath. And they'll say chap or chaplain. They called me chap or chappie. They like that. So they would call me there to see a patient and to pray over them as they, and there were 8 individuals that I prayed for and who were dying there in our emergency room. So
this is the book that you wrote, No Small Miracles. It
is.
And you want to tell us a little bit about this?
I wrote that about 3 years ago, 4 years ago. The National Society of Newspaper Columnists had named my column that year in 2004, named it 3rd best in America in mid-sized papers. And so it caught the attention of this publisher, and he put these columns together. Most of them are based on my experience at Sutter Medical Center in Sacramento, where I was a pediatric chaplain, and talking to little small guys. And so about half the book's about those miracles that I saw with the children.
I've read it. It's a great, it's very wonderful, heartwarming book.
Yeah.
Well, you're back, and is there plans to possibly volunteer to do this again?
Yeah, is my wife going to be watching this? You know, I'd like to volunteer to go to Afghanistan after this, but there's some rules about how soon I can go. So about 2 to 3 years from now, hopefully. Yeah.
And we talked about your earlier book. Is there works of a book on your experiences in Iraq? Are you
I like to. All these columns have made a big impact from there. So I like to write a book talking really about that line in the emergency room that divided those people that were wanted and needed at the time and those that had stood back. So sort of the other side of the line.
That was because I think you talked about that. Was maybe your title and working.
Right.
Very. Well, Norris, thank you so much for coming in today and sharing your stories. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
You can read Norris Burkes' column each Saturday in the Life section of Florida Today. And if you would like information on how to purchase an autographed copy of his book, No Small Miracles, discuss a speech and engagement, or read his earlier columns, visit www.thechaplain.net. Did you know bicycle sales beat out car sales in the first quarter of 2009? Nearly 2.6 million bikes were sold in the U.S., compared to less than 2.5 million cars and trucks, according to recent reports. Brad Wyman, manager of Bob's Bicycle Shop in Indian Harbor Beach, is going to share with us tips for buying the best bike. Let's take a look.
Bikes have become a lot more popular with gas going up and people becoming more conscious of their health and the environmental movement, the green movement, organic foods. Bikes become a lot more popular as a viable source of transportation. And we've seen that people are using their bike more for practical purposes, and we look to continue to outfit everybody that comes in with a bike or bikes that we're selling to make the bike more of a practical, reliable source of transportation. This is one of our best-selling models. This is called the Trek Pure. It's a very relaxed position. A lot of people have been buying it. That's what makes it our best-selling model. It comes with a lot of features that people like. It comes as a very simple bike. It comes as a 3-speed, which is a very simple bike. It also comes as a 7-speed. And then for people that want the comfort but want a little more exercise, you also get it as a 21-speed. That's part of what's made it such a great seller. It's very versatile. One of the features of this bike that's kind of new in the bicycle industry is the pedals are farther forward than the saddle, which allows you to usually get your feet pretty flat on the ground and at the same time get the proper leg extension, which is very important. That's in reference to the fit of the bike. Also, one thing we offer here at the shop is properly fitting people to their bike and professional fitting services. Usually that's reserved a little bit more for the higher-end customer riding a road bike or a high-end mountain bike, a lot of the racers. But it's equally important for the enthusiasts to get the proper fit. So we make sure that the bike you're leaving on fits you properly, and also insist that you test ride the bike outside on the side of the building so that you're sure that it's a good fit and that you're comfortable controlling and handling the bike. This comes in men's and women's models, lots of different colors and lots of different options. And a lot of people like to accessorize the bike. They come right now. This is the basic bike as it comes. It's got a spot here you can put a water bottle on it. Another real popular accessory is a speedometer. It's probably one of the most popular items we sell along with a water bottle. And there are a lot of other accessories you can put on the bike. A bell. A lot of people put a small bag under the saddle here to carry your keys or a spare tube. And there's a lot of things that you can buy along with the bike, other things that don't just go with the bike. It's very important to have a helmet, the proper clothes for riding, gloves. A headlight and a taillight are required in this county if you're riding at dark, and probably one of the most important things is a lock. Especially beachside here, people have problems with their bikes being stolen or joyridden, and mainland is just as important, but it seems like beachside that problem's a lot more prevalent, so we highly recommend you buy some type of lock to secure your bike when you're riding at places.
In our next segment, we are going to meet a poodle that is up for adoption. His name is Joey, and he could use a forever home.
Hi, I'm Susie Fleming Leonard, and I am here with Joey. This is Joey. I have Luann Manderville here joining me from Florida today, and we have Linda Pickett from Coastal Poodle Rescue. And she's going to tell us about Joey, who is right now in foster care, and he needs a forever home. You were telling us a little bit, Joey is 8 years old?
He's 8, yeah, a very active 8. He loves to play with other dogs, would love to have another dog to play with. He's very sweet, very well behaved. He's excellent at his housebreaking. He gives very sweet little kisses.
Do you want to kiss Luann?
Can I kiss?
Give the
Oh, a
wing
little
kisses.
one, a little one.
Little kisses. He's
Little
not a
one.
slobbery dog.
No.
And you were saying that he does have some little minor health
He
problems.
does
but-
have, he's very, very healthy with the exception of he does have diabetes. He gets a small amount of insulin twice a day. It's controlled with diet and insulin. But
Is it something that's pretty simple to do?
oh yes,
Uh-huh.
it's just a very tiny short needle and it just goes barely under the skin. And he loves to get his shots. When he sees the shot, he gets all excited and starts jumping around and jumps in the chair.
Wow, I wish I felt that way at the doctor's office.
He gets a treat.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
gets a treat
oh,
after every
okay,
shot, so
okay.
it's a good thing.
He's very, very easy and happy to get his shots and doing very, very well.
And he has a little bit of a sad story with how he ended up
It's
with the rescue
very,
group.
very, very sad. He's a much loved little guy, and his mommy was very ill, but it was his daddy that passed away, and his mommy was just too ill, unfortunately, to care for him. So they've put him into foster care, and he needs a new family. He loves his humans. His big thing is to be near his human, and
And he loves other dogs too.
He loves other dogs.
Loves to play with other dogs.
Loves to play with his foster buddy was just adopted out, and he really misses her because they played so hard all day long.
Well, tell us how, if someone wants to adopt Joey or one of the other poodles and poodle mixes that you have with Coastal Poodle Rescue, what would someone need to do to?
Go to our website, coastalpoodlerescue.org, and some of our dogs, not all of our dogs, are on the website. And there's you can do an application there for Joey, and you just get a wonderful little dog.
Just a quick question: would you be willing, like, to show the person that if they've never had a dog that had a medical need like that? Would you be willing to show them how to administer the medicine and so on?
Yes, it can't be done just any time of day.
Okay.
It has to be once in the morning, once in the evening.
Right.
But if it's time, or just just a demo of how it's done, it's just basically grabbing his skin and giving him the shot very quickly, and that's it. And
Any special diet that he needs, honey?
he is on a special diet, and I don't know exactly what he's eating now, but he can't have just a lot of snacks or toast at the breakfast table.
Right, that makes sense.
Or things like that, because, well, he could have it, but it makes it very difficult to control for the amount of insulin that
Right.
he gets every day. So it's just easier if he has his food and his treats, his occasional treats, and then it's controlled quite easily with a very small amount of
Good.
insulin.
Well, he certainly seems very healthy. He's a fun-loving dog, aren't you?
He's a
He's
sweetheart.
very loving, loves everybody, loves everything, and gets cute kisses.
That's what it's about. That's what
Well,
it's
Linda,
about.
thanks for bringing Joey by to see us.
Well,
And
thank you for
again, if
having
you are interested in Joey or any other dog, go to coastalpoodlerescue.org, and you can get more information about the rescue group. If you want to donate money or donate time, maybe even be a foster parent, you can get more information about the organization and all of the dogs that they have available looking for homes. Thank you again, and thank you, Joey.
Thank you, Joey.
Thank you, Susie.
Father's Day was yesterday. I hope all of our Brevard County dads had a great day. Last week we ended the show with pictures from our Doting Dads photo gallery. We received so many cute photos we thought we would share more today. Enjoy and have a wonderful week. For more information on anything you have seen on today's show, visit brevard.momslikeme.com.